Hey guys, welcome back for another video. So I recently won another SVS contest. I had my choice of products. Since I've already had pretty much all their subs and speakers, I wanted to try this guy. This is one of their newest products. This is their tri-band wireless audio adapter. And I wanted to try it just because I use their now older wireless adapter and I want to see how it compares. I have pushed this to its limits. I use it now in a configuration I'll show you in a minute where it works flawlessly, but I had run into issues before. But this is supposed to solve everything. The specs between the two as far as frequency response and latency are all the same, but what this gives you are two additional wireless bands, and it's supposed to automatically switch and sense between the three to not only give you a better connection, more stable, but better range, nearly doubling the effective range from this guy here. So let's open it up and take a look. So taking a look at the physical changes, definitely some things for the better. This is the original and it is super light. It is as light as the Power Brick, and it's so light that you can't put it on anything. Just the tension of the cables, just skirts it off a shelf or anything like that. I end up just dangling it from the power cord. That's all there is to it. Now, the schmutz on here is from black electrical tape, because one thing I hated about this is this bright ass blue power light. And the camera can't even pick up how obnoxiously bright this blue light is. So wherever you have it, it shines on your wall, it shines on your floor, and it just lights everything up, and it shouldn't. But easy enough to just put some tape over it. So no big deal, doesn't affect anything. Now, the one thing that really did suck, but on par with their competition, I'll talk about that in a second, is the actual input-output connector. This is the receiver. The transmitter is identical, and that's also true with the new ones. One just says receiver, one says transmitter, but everything else is absolutely identical. When you get a set, they're automatically paired, so you don't have to do anything, plug it in and go. But you can use multiple receivers of the same generation with one transmitter, so they do give you a manual pair button if you want to set that up. But this is a TRS jack, a headphone jack, and it sucks compared to RCA's for a standard connector because it has slop, it has play. What to give you your different cables, the one pretty much everyone is going to use is the RCA to TRS plug, but it's a headphone jack. It's got slack, it's got wobble, it's got room to have a spotty connection, and it's spring-loaded. So it's very easy to accidentally pop this thing out a little bit and again, have a bad connection. Well, thankfully that is gone because the new one uses standard RCA. Thank you. The new one also has a bigger wall wart, and this appears to be a two-piece, and this probably has different end connectors for different countries, but I'm in the US, so this is what I get. And we finally have normal stereo RCA ins and outs. But we're also joined by our good old friend, the obnoxious bright blue dot. So we're still going to be using a little dot of electrical tape. Not a huge deal, but man, they dropped the ball on correcting the second flaw in their system. Other than that, it is identical. Again, manual pair. They're set up out of the box to work. Good to go. Now what they give you out of the box are just two mono RCA cables. So if you're looking for a stereo setup, if you're looking to say go to a outboard set of speakers or a second zone sound system, something like that, you're going to have to provide your own stereo RCA jumper wires. They also give you these little dots of double-sided Velcro, and that's handy because these are slightly heavier than the older ones. However, they are still pretty light, but they're heavy enough where they now give you nice rubber feet, so you can set it on a shelf. However, it's still so light that just the drag of the cables, just the weight of the RCA cables, if they're going over your back shelf or something, can easily move it, especially if there's any kind of vibration. So you definitely want to just stick that and make sure that everything stays in place wherever you want to put it. Or if you want to stick it on the back of an amp or the back of a subwoofer, that's also great for these. So that's nice. So how do they work? Bottom line is really well. They actually do exactly what they said they're going to do. So here's my experience. I've just tested them throughout the house, throughout everywhere in the house. I've got the transmitters back here. I'm at the back of the house, and I've tested all the way down to the front office, into the garage, tested around corners, seeing how many walls I could go through and all that kind of good stuff. Now, with the originals, I first bought them to power a sub over here, I don't know, 3 or 4 subs ago. And it did better than every other competitor. And I have tried, if you watched all my videos throughout the years, all the other lower price competitors. Now, the original SVS transmitter kit is about $100. And I have no doubt that this new tri-band is replacing it, and they're just gonna blow out the remaining stock. I wish they would have dropped its price and dropped the price of the tri-band, because it's almost twice as expensive. There's nothing on the market even remotely in its price bracket, but there's also no other tri-band wireless receiver kit out there that does what it does. So they have the market cornered, at least for now. But the SVS original was the only one that simply worked right. All of the other ones I tried, and I tried them all. I started with the cheap ones and worked my way up. Every one of them had some kind of deal breaker, either a big delay on coming on, or pops and dropouts, or I had one, I've got a microwave right on the back of this wall here, and sometimes it would interfere. Just terrible performance. The SVS simply came on, it was full range, and it worked. With one caveat, this is a gas electric fireplace, and I would very occasionally have a dropout when I just dangle it off the back of the sub here. So it was shooting through this wall, through the fireplace, through the other ball. 99% of the time it was fine, but I would very occasionally get pops, and it just annoyed me. So I did eventually run a actual sub cable all the way over, and that fixed everything. And that's my benchmark. If it performs identically, except for the delay, which you can't do anything about, but if it performs identically to a cable, that's the gold standard. So the difference is shooting through walls or not. They only guarantee 60 feet of line of sight for their original. So what I ended up using is this amp back here, which powers my butt kickers, and the living room is still a disaster because the wife is still, I don't know, she's on rug 5 or 6 at this point, making up her mind. Anyway, they're gonna be installed here in my seating, and this is a Behringer amp, and I have the wireless system running it for the transceivers. So obviously there is clear line of sight directly to the transmitter, works 100% flawlessly, exactly like being plugged in, except for the added delay of being wireless. Totally expected. Now, what the tri-band does is give you that exact same experience any freaking where in my house. I used a little portable speaker, used the input, put the receiver on the input, and I could not get the signal to drop. I had no interference, not that I had interference from the original, from anything in the house. I currently have, I don't know, at least 50 wireless devices in here. The entire house is smart home. Every plug, every light, appliances, anything you can imagine, it's in here with wireless signals, all different kinds of protocols, and not one single problem. All the way down to the front office, nothing. Front porch, nothing. Garage, which is back in that far corner, nothing. Microwave on or off, nothing. I mean, it didn't matter how many walls I went through, it just worked. So I don't know what the total actual range is. They say 150, 160 feet, something like that. It's ridiculous. It just worked. There's nothing else to say. So should you get the original? Well, yes, if you have good line of sight. Because if you're just going through a little bit, you may have a problem, and it may be enough to push you. But if you're like me and you're just using it for something like this, the original, while they still sell them, is completely adequate. There's no problem with it functionally whatsoever. But I don't expect it to be around for long. I think the tri-band is going to be the only one they sell as soon as they blow out the remaining stock. So there you go. Hope it helps. We'll see you next time.